There is a clock running on the car you want, and the dealer is praying you never hear it ticking. Every day a car sits unsold, it costs the dealer $30 to $40 in interest, and that bleeding only stops when somebody drives it away. So when a car has sat 300 or 400 days, the dealer is not selling it to you anymore. He is dumping it before it eats him alive, and he stops the bleeding by moving the loss onto your loan where you never see it. So which cars are on that death clock, and how do they make their problem yours? Make sure you subscribe, because I started this channel for one reason: to share what dealerships and car makers don't want you to hear. With your support, I can keep making these videos. Now let's get into it. Here's the piece almost no buyer understands, and it changes everything about how you should walk onto a lot. A dealership does not own most of the cars sitting in front of it. It borrows the money to stock them on something called a floor plan, which is basically a giant credit line against the inventory. And every day a car sits there unsold, the dealer is paying interest on that borrowed money, plus insurance, plus the plain fact that the car is losing value while it sits. Add it all up and it runs somewhere around $30 to $40 a day per car every day, whether anybody looks at it or not. A car that sits for 2 months has quietly eaten a couple $1,000s of the dealer's money before it ever sells. And right now, with lots filling back up and cars sitting far longer than they did a couple years ago, that clock is the single biggest force driving what happens to you in the showroom. The dealer is not motivated by what is good for you. He is motivated by which cars are bleeding him the worst. And that pressure is worse right now than it has been in years, for two reasons most buyers never think about. First, the lots have filled back up. After years of empty showrooms and cars selling before they even arrived, the inventory came roaring back, and the old problem of the crowded lot is back with it, cars stacked up and sitting for weeks and months again. Second, the interest the dealer pays to hold all that metal is far higher than it used to be, so every one of those days on the lot hurts more than it did just a couple of years ago. And on top of all that, there's a merciless deadline built into the calendar itself. Every time a new model year arrives, the cars from the year before instantly become old news, worth less overnight, harder to move, and even more urgent to dump. So the dealer is not just watching a slow bleed, he is racing a countdown, and the closer that new model year gets, the more desperate he becomes to get last year's aging metal off his books and into your driveway, on whatever terms he can get you to accept. So let's start with the cars actually on that death clock, because the numbers are genuinely staggering once you see them. In a healthy market, a car might sit for 60 or 70 days before it sells, but there are models right now sitting for 200, 300, even more than 400 days. There is a plug-in hybrid version of a popular Nissan crossover that has been sitting, on average, well over 400 days, with almost 2,000 of them stacked up across the country that nobody wants. Think about that. More than a year of interest and fees bleeding out of every single one of those, and they are still sitting. That is not a car the dealer wants to sell you. That is a car the dealer needs gone before it drags his whole month into the red. And it is not just one oddball model. The new Dodge Charger, the reinvented one, has become one of the slowest selling new cars in the entire country, with a supply measured in hundreds of days, and well over 10,000 of them piled up on lots. A Dodge dealer outside of Atlanta is sitting on a row of these that were supposed to be the exciting future of the brand, and instead they are just expensive metal collecting dust and interest. There is a popular Volkswagen electric SUV in almost the exact same position, hundreds of days of supply. A car the company bet big on that buyers simply walked past. And a whole cluster of Jeep models, the big expensive ones especially, sitting for months and months with no end in sight. These are the cars the dealer stares at every morning and does the math on, watching the loss grow by the day. And here is a wave most buyers have not even heard about yet, one that is about to make the dumping far more aggressive. Hundreds of thousands of electric cars that people leased a few years ago, back when the leasing deals were everywhere, are now coming back to dealers all at the same time. Something like 300,000 returning electric leases, flooding onto lots that already cannot move the electric cars they have. So picture the dealer's problem. He has new electric models sitting for hundreds of days, and now a tidal wave of used electric lease returns is landing on top of that, all of them losing value fast. All of them costing him money every day they sit. When you understand that backlog, you understand why the deals on certain electric cars have suddenly gotten so wild. It is not generosity, it is a dealer trying to bail water out of a sinking boat with both hands. And a car that a dealer is that frantic to get rid of is a car you need to be that much more careful about taking off his hands. Now here is why a car that has been sitting that long is radioactive, and why the dealer's panic should become your caution. The moment a car sits long enough, two things happen at once. First, the loss the dealer is carrying keeps compounding every day, which makes him more desperate and more willing to do something aggressive to move it. And second, the car itself is quietly aging into a worse deal for you. When the new model year arrives, that car you were looking at instantly becomes last year's model, worth less the second it leaves the lot, even though you are often still being asked to pay something close to a fresh price for it. So you have a dealer who is bleeding and desperate, standing next to a car that is silently losing value, and his entire goal is to get that specific problem transferred onto you before the clock ticks one more day. That is the setup. Now let me show you the machinery they use to actually pull it off, because this is where it gets ugly. The first and most powerful tool they have is your trade-in, and specifically something called negative equity. Right now, a huge share of Americans owe more on their current car than it is worth because they bought when prices were high and financed for a long time. The average person who is underwater is buried by around $7,000, and nearly a third of all trade-ins are now in this exact position. So here's what the dealer does. You come in wanting to trade your car and buy one of these aged units they are desperate to move. You still owe, say, $7,000 more than your car is worth. And the salesman smiles and says the magic words, "Do not worry, we will pay off your trade." What he does not say clearly is that he is not making that $7,000 disappear. He is taking it and stacking it right on top of the loan for the new car. So now you are financing the new car plus the leftover debt from the old one, all rolled into one bigger, longer loan. And think about what that actually does to you. You walk in underwater by $7,000 and you walk out even deeper, on a car that is often already aging, stretched over a loan so long you will be underwater on this one too before you are even halfway through paying it. That is the snowball. Each time you trade in early and let them roll the old balance forward, the hole gets bigger, not smaller. The dealer solved his problem. He moved the aged car off his lot and stopped the bleeding. And he did it by loading his loss and your old debt together onto a loan you will be chained to for 7 years. You thought you were getting a great deal on a discounted car. What you actually got was a bigger debt with a shinier hood on it. Put real numbers on it so you can feel how the trap closes. Say you owe $24,000 on your current car, but it is only worth $17,000. That is $7,000 you are underwater and you are far from alone because the average underwater buyer is buried by right around that much, and nearly a third of everyone trading a car in today is in this exact hole. Now you buy one of these aged units, and the dealer rolls that $7,000 onto the new loan. To keep the monthly payment from looking scary, he stretches the term way out, 6 years, 7 years, sometimes even longer. So on day one, you already owe $7,000 more than the new car is worth, before you have driven a single mile. And because the loan is stretched so long, the car loses value faster than you pay the loan down, which means you stay underwater on this car too, for years. Then, in a few years, life happens, you want out, and you walk back in still owing more than the new car is worth, before you have driven a single mile. And because the loan is stretched so long, the car loses value faster than you pay the loan down, which means you stay underwater on this car too, for years. Then, in a few years, life happens, you want out, and you walk back in still owing more than it is worth, and they roll that new gap into the next loan, and the hole gets deeper again. That is the snowball, and once you are in it, it can follow you from car to car for a decade. The dealer got his aged unit gone. You got a debt that just keeps rolling downhill. That brings us to the second tool, the stretched loan, because it is the grease that makes all of this slide. To make those bigger, uglier numbers fit into a monthly payment you will accept, the dealer simply stretches the loan out longer and longer, 6 years, 7 years, sometimes beyond. And here is the trick of it. Most buyers do not negotiate on the price of the car anymore. They negotiate on the monthly payment. And the moment you do that, you have handed the dealer the keys, because he can hit almost any monthly number you want just by stretching the term and hiding all the damage in the extra years. You feel like you won because the payment sounds manageable. Meanwhile, he has buried the rolled over negative equity, the aged car's weak value, and a nice fat interest bill all inside a loan so long that you will owe more than the car is worth for most of the time you own it. A finance manager at a dealer outside of Columbus can make a genuinely terrible deal feel comfortable, as long as you are only staring at that one monthly number instead of the total. The third tool is how they handle the used side of this, and it is maybe the sneakiest of all. When these aged cars and the flood of returning lease vehicles and the trade-ins with problems all pile up, dealers need a way to move the questionable ones at a good price. So they lean hard on the words certified pre-owned. That certified badge is supposed to mean the car went through a rigorous inspection and is a cut above an ordinary used car, and sometimes it genuinely is. But right now, with so many lease returns and auction cars flooding in and the overall quality of that pool dropping, that badge is doing a lot of heavy lifting to make ordinary or even troubled cars feel premium. A car that was a rough lease return, or one carrying an unglamorous history, can get cleaned up, stamp certified, and put on the line at a confident price, and the shine of that word is what gets you to stop asking hard questions. And the hardest questions are exactly the ones they are hoping you skip, because buried in all this inventory are cars carrying open recalls that have not been fixed, cars that were repossessed and quietly funneled back onto the lot, and trade-ins with histories that a fresh coat of detailing hides beautifully. A shopper in suburban Sacramento sees a clean, shiny, reasonably priced crossover with a certified sticker and assumes the sticker did his homework for him. It did not. The dealer needs that unit gone just like all the others, and the reassuring badge is part of how he moves it before you think to look underneath. And it gets darker than just a soft inspection. When good, clean lease returns are drying up, the pool of used cars the dealers are pulling from gets rougher, which means more of the cars landing on the lot have a harder past. Some of these are repossessions, cars taken back from people who could not make the payments, quietly cleaned up and slid onto the used line with no sign of where they came from. Some are carrying open safety recalls that were never fixed, because nothing legally forces a used car to have its recalls closed before it is sold to you. So you can drive off in a shiny certified car that still has an unrepaired defect the manufacturer already admitted was dangerous, and nobody at that dealership is required to say a word about it. The detailing hides the history, the badge hides the doubt, and the dealer's desperation to move aging metal is what put that car in front of you in the first place. So here is the real story sitting underneath every part of this, the thing they will never say out loud. The dealer's problem and your problem are about to become the exact same car. Everything you just saw, the bleeding floor plan clock, the aged units, the rolled over negative equity, the stretched loan, the certified badge doing damage control, all of it exists to do one single thing: to take a car that is losing the dealer money every day and transfer that loss onto you, cleanly, quietly, wrapped in the feeling of a great deal. That is the whole machine. You think you walked in to negotiate a price. You did not. You walked into a room built by people whose entire job is to manage a bleeding asset and move the wound onto your loan before you notice. The discount on the desperate car is the bait. The loan structure around it is the trap. And the reason it works so well is that the dealer knows exactly what that car is costing him down to the day, and you know almost nothing. So the whole thing is a negotiation between someone holding every card and someone who was never even told there was a game. And here is who gets hurt the worst, because it is not the sharp, skeptical buyer. It is the good, trusting one. The person who walks in grateful that the salesman is being so helpful, who focuses on the monthly payment because that is the honest way he budgets his life, who sees the word certified and relaxes because he assumes it means what it sounds like. He is not a fool. He is exactly the kind of straightforward, decent person the whole system is designed to catch, because he negotiates in good faith against people who negotiate for a living. He drives off happy, feeling like he got taken care of, and he has no idea he just absorbed a loss that was never his to carry, on a car nobody else wanted, chained to a loan that will keep him underwater for years. The betrayal is that his trust, the very thing that should be rewarded, is the thing they use against him. So what do you actually do about all of this? A few things, and they are simple, but they are powerful. First, before anything else, find out how long the specific car you want has been sitting on that lot, because a car with a huge day count is one the dealer is desperate to move, and that desperation is your leverage, not his. Second, negotiate the price of the car, and only the price of the car, never the monthly payment, because the payment is the exact tool they use to hide everything, and the total price is the only number that tells the truth. Third, handle your trade-in as a completely separate deal. Know what your car is really worth before you ever walk in, and never ever let them roll old debt into a new loan just to make a payment work, because that snowball is how people stay underwater for a decade. And fourth, treat the word certified as the beginning of your homework, not the end of it, and pull the history and the open recalls on any used car yourself, because the badge was put there to make you stop looking, which is the exact moment you need to look hardest. You are not being difficult by doing this. You are refusing to be the person their whole system is built to catch. These lots are only getting more crowded, and the pressure to dump these aging cars onto real people is only going to grow louder in the months ahead. Subscribe, and I will keep showing you exactly how they move their losses onto your loan, and how to walk in as the one person on that lot they cannot fool.